My name's Kim Stephan. I work for Tweed Landcare as a project officer, and we were lucky enough to receive a Smart Farms grant from the Australian government to bring the Soilkee Renovator up to the Tweed to trial it in a subtropical climate. There's a lot of the paddocks in the area not as productive as what they could be. A lot of farmers seem to rely on the good rainfall that we have during the summer period and good growth during the summer, but then during the winter period things die back and cattle have to be sold off, or they just lose condition and then they wait for the wet season again. So there's an opportunity here to work on pastures to try to improve them.
We can do a lot to improve the soil, which is really beneficial to the long-term sustainability of livestock production in the Tweed, but it's also important that to be sustainable you've got to be economically viable. Looking at a winter mix, something that we could sow in the autumn that could produce feed through winter and into spring, and potentially some of the species that could carry into summer to improve the quality of the summer feed. So if we can achieve that, we can get our utilisation rates up. Therefore, we can carry more stock and each hectare becomes more profitable.
So we've had our baseline carbon testing done through AgriProve, and they'll come back over a number of times through the next 25 years and monitor the soil carbon that we're capturing. So that's one of the key goals of the project, to capture carbon. The second one is to improve soil health. And that's through using the multi-species crops, which have two benefits. One is the solar panels that come up, the leaf or the vegetable matter that are coming up out of the ground will be nutrient-dense food for our cattle and chickens. And the second one is putting carbon back into the ground.
So actually sequestering that carbon from the air into the soil is a real big benefit of the fertility on the farm. So it gives you a yield increase, plus it also gives you that increase in biodiversity, the natural biodiversity on your farm. You're not overloading any type of artificial nutrient into your farming system. It's just what you can provide naturally grown on your own farm.
We watched Tweed Shire Council do the soil tests, and I guess the things that stood out was there was a test done about the ability of the topsoil to absorb water, and we noticed that the topsoil takes quite a long time to absorb the water, which means we have a lot of runoff. So I think that's an area that, particularly with a Soilkee machine, in a sense, aerating the surface and creating a better root structure, we should see the water absorbed much quicker after the tests. That's what I'm looking for. And I think the other area that we noticed that we had pH levels of 5.5, which is actually, we've got acidic soil. So, and that's not unusual for a grazing country that probably hasn't been improved. That's another area that I'm really looking forward to seeing at the end of that. We should see that change, that balance come in.
Improving the soil health, especially by sequestering carbon and doing it the way that we're doing it, you can improve the soil structure and improve the soil nutrition as well, the availability of nutrients. So once those plants that we're planting, we've got a variety of different seeds and things, and some of them have deep tap roots, so they're able to help the moisture penetrate deeper into the soil. When we first wrote this application, the Tweed was going through a drought. The soils became quite rock hard and there was just no permeability of those soils to actually retain moisture. And we felt that if there was some ways that we could better prepare those soils and have better, there's the word going around, drought resilience, then we could potentially hold some of that moisture for longer in the soils.
It's the importance of the soils is the start of everything, isn't it? And if we can get that right, then I think everything else will flow on from that. So.
We're looking to improve the biodiversity, and then also the improved cattle production as well. So many facets of improving the cattle production and making it more sustainable.
And I think also, for me, improving the efficiency of the farm at the moment, so the layout and the structure, and how we move the cattle and how we work the cattle and how we rotate the paddocks. So what we've got here is good, but we want to make it great by making it far more efficient and vibrant in what we're doing, and give the cattle the best possible soils and grasses, and just improve the total environment here.
We were told when we moved on to the farm that there was no way in the world that we'd be able to make a living off this farm because the soils were so poor. And I mean, that really spurred us on with regenerative farming practices rather than applying high inputs such as fertilisers and chemicals onto the farm to, I guess, get instant gratification. We're here for the long term to produce nutrient-dense food for the people that come to the markets and buy our food.
Being part of this experience and with Landcare and the Soilkee, I guess, you know, it's the old adage of having a good network of people around you that, you know, that you can learn a lot from quickly, and we could never do that on our own.
Another one of the goals that we really wanted to get out of the project is to share our learnings with the community and other farmers. Basically what we want to do is show farmers in the Tweed Valley, which are traditionally high chemical input farmers with cane and other crops that they grow here. Our goal is to show them that you don't need those chemical inputs to grow beautiful, healthy food and to derive an income from, well, we've only got 120 acres and there's not too many farmers in the Tweed Valley that can say they support not only their own family but other families from 120 acres. So yeah, we're really looking to be able to share our learnings with the wider farming community.
One of the aims of the project was greater profitability for the farmers, and we hope that they'll not only get that in the carbon credits, but they'll also be able to see that in the cattle production. So by closing that winter gap, those cattle should be able to maintain their weight gains throughout the winter period, but they'll also see the benefits from the increased soil health as well, and, you know, greater resilience against drought and those sorts of things, and just generally healthier farm.